How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be showcasing my most complete guide on how I successfully flush coolant systems. Okay, so I wanted to make this video because it's a very straightforward and step-by-step video on how you can successfully flush the most stubborn coolant systems. And that means ones that have oil cooler failure, trans cooler failure, you have head gasket failure, which has caused sludge and everything to mix in, under maintained vehicles which just haven't had coolant replacements over years and there's been rust and crud built up in it. I have done them all and I've successfully been able to flush them through and get the coolant circulating back around and everything operational and temperatures returning to where they should be. Now, the most important and number one piece of what I believe flushing the coolant system is using what's called a coolant system flush gun. I bought that many years ago. The brand I have is SP Tools, but there's many other ones in the market. But that utilizes compressed air, high pressure compressed air in combination with water. And when you use both of those and then you apply isolating the different components of the cooling system, you can get a fantastic result by doing that. Now, what I mean by that is if you either remove the radiator completely or remove the top and bottom hose and you flush through that and get every bit of dirt and grime and sludge that you can out of it, you have already flushed through the rad. You do the same when it comes to the heater core / heater matrix, taking off that inlet and outlet and flushing through there. Remember, there's constant flow going through it. It's not just building up pressure in it, it's going through at a high pressure and then dumping out all of the dirt and grime that builds up in it. You remove the thermostat as well and you flush through the entirety of it. Again, leaving a pipe off so it has complete circulation and it dumps out any excessive sludge or dirt that's circulating. Now, doing all of that on the majority of vehicles is highly successful. If you're operating with vehicles that have electric water pumps in them as well, you may have to make some adapters or you may have to make some adjustments to make sure that you're isolating the right components and getting the correct flushing. So one of the jobs I worked on recently was a Jeep. It had an oil cooler failure and the whole system had oil dumped into it. It was horrendous. It was one of the worst I'd seen. And I used these methods to successfully flush out that system and get it very, very good. And that vehicle has been driving since with no issues. Other jobs that I did this on was mechanic misdiagnosis, where they thought the head gasket was gone, they thought that the engine needed either overhaul or replacement, and it was just blockages in different areas which was causing the temperature to spike and the vehicle to overheat. So when you do this, you can get great results, but do bear in mind, if you are going to a workshop, this is very labor intensive. Removing these components and isolating these components and going through the process I do can be very, very time consuming. If you're doing it yourself, of course it's going to be free. You're going to be able to get a successful result if you have patience and if you have the right equipment. So I would say if you're bringing it to a workshop, allow them the time to do it. Doing speed flushes or just additives on their own isn't going to be successful when you have a very bad blockage through the system. Okay, so the next thing, you have your coolant flush gun. You have isolated the different components. In some cases you can do a reverse flush. I have done it in some, I haven't done it in others. It is, if it's very, very blocked or you're finding that you're not having a successful with the normal flush through and the normal operation of rotation, then you can go the opposite direction, do a reverse flush and try and see if any additional items come out. That's also very good if you have components removed and you're just pressuring the water into it. You can see the various results as you're going from top hose to bottom hose, etc. So the last step on this is to use the flushing additives. Now, I have used a whole host of different additives over the years. I've used Penrite, I've used Holtz, I've used Repco, and I've used other brands that I can't even remember, and they have been successful on this last stage. The most important is the first part parts where you're flushing through using just pressurized air and water, and then on the last part of this is using an additive. By utilizing the additive, getting it up to operating temperature, some cases it's 45 minutes, some cases 15-20 minutes, but it's heating, it's circulating, it's moving, and then you're flushing it out. You're repeating that process for as many times as required, and you're going to be following those instructions on the bottle to an absolute T to make sure you get the best results. Now, just demonstrated on the Jeep that I had, I spent hours and hours at this to get it the best possible I could within the time frame allowed, and it was successful. We were able to keep the temperatures down. We were able to have a nice bright red coolant circulating with very, very little sludge going through the expansion tank after multiple flushes. There's still going to be a certain amount that is circulating when you have major failures, but if you go and do a coolant flush again in 5,000 or 10,000 Ks and applying that method to try and get everything out, you will eventually have your coolant system back to absolutely spotless if you keep doing that. And that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful and informative. If you did, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.